we entered this business in a similar stage of life back in 2016, in that we were basically just out of high school.
Engaged to be married.
Engaged, because we're
Betrothed.
weird. We got engaged really young. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Valor Coffee Podcast. On today's episode, we talked about what it was like starting a business while also starting a family. Around the time that we were starting Valor, we were kind of all getting married and starting families, and now we've all got kids and we've got this business. We're entrepreneurs. We just talked about what it's like to juggle all that. So if you're someone that wants to start a business or start a family, or heck, do both, this would probably be interesting stuff for you. It was a good time to just get real and raw with Ethan and Riley, with a whole host of other humans listening on their phone, which was awesome. I want to make you aware of a partnership we have with Clive Coffee, which is an online coffee gear retailer. If you use code VALOR5, you can get 5% off Eureka and what is that called? If you use code VALOR5 at checkout on their website, you can get 5% off Luca and Eureka products. They're both great. They're both great brands, and we've used both of them, and we really love them. Without further ado, let's get to the show. It's a brand new day here at Valor Coffee. How's it feel?
Great. It's kind of hot in here.
Sorry, I turned off the AC just slightly early, like 4 or 5 minutes early,
Yeah.
and it's already taking lasting effect.
For our viewers and listeners out there, you might not know this, but we have to turn everything off to record the podcast.
That's how much we care about you all, our listeners.
Refrigerators,
Dryers,
washer and dryer,
ground controls. The
air
ground
condition.
control might be the noisiest thing.
Yeah, the fan on the inside.
The fan on the inside of the ground control, right?
So,
But we can't turn off whatever is happening.
yeah, there's
outside.
something happening outside, and it is what it is.
Someone's doing a siege on our next door neighbor.
Yeah, I'll say.
Happy Father's Day, guys.
Yeah, happy Father's Day to my favorite dads.
Thanks for being my dads sometimes.
We all sort of fill that father role for each other at times.
Did you clip that yet?
I think I heard Jordan Peterson say that.
Yeah.
And scene.
But yeah, how was y'all's Father's Day?
Such an insightful question, Ross. Thank you.
We saw each other.
We
You
did.
did?
See-
You guys hung
yes,
out?
We hung
Yes. We had set something up. I said, hey, bro, I'm opening Valor Dunwoody with fellow dad in arms, Paul Judy. Shout out, Paul. Great dad. And this guy rolls in and says, this was what I wanted to do today. Wanted to come here and kick your butt. And then he beat me up in the back office.
And you liked it?
And he liked it.
I said, thank you. This is like a father disciplining his child.
See earlier.
Yeah.
What's it like to work on Father's Day?
Oh, it was awesome. Dude, it was behi. Yeah, it was lights out, man. Sometimes Sundays can have this really like slow roll, and it kind of picks up in the afternoon. Everybody coming out of church, hanging out. But it was just like, wham! And I was like, maybe it's because dads love coffee, right? Stay with me.
That's facts.
And they're socialized children love specialty coffee. And they're like, maybe dad going out to this nice coffee shop would be like a nice thing.
Yeah.
And
So you saw a lot of daddy dates?
there were some daddy dates, yeah. Or dads just getting out of the house, honestly.
Solo?
There were solo dads. There
Dang.
were dads. There were not any dad groups. That would have been, that was a missing component. But a lot of father, son, yeah, that kind of stuff. So, but it was awesome. It was slamma jamma. Father's Day is one of those funny ones. I'm sure Mother's Day as well, but you're like, you see an adult and you're like, happy Father's Day? Or in our case, we're giving away free drip to dad. So I'm like,
You look like a dad.
you a dad? It's like, why, yes, I am. It's like, oh, well, you get free drip. So
That's
that was
funny.
fun.
How many people got free drip, you think? a good
Honestly,
bit.
no. I mean, maybe. And I mean, maybe 20.
So, like, did you ever offer it to someone and they were like, no, I want a lavender vanilla latte?
honestly, I don't know if this is good or bad or ugly, but I just would not offer it if they just went ahead and like ordered a coffee or like ordered a latte or something. I was like,
cash
That makes
grab
sense.
move.
I'm like, just let them, yeah, real cash grab. I'm just like, you probably just want this drink on a day that you're being celebrated. I'm not gonna be like, well, if you want to change your order, you get it for free.
Yeah. I think we've always valued like trying to avoid the clunkiness of an interaction.
And just letting it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
So
concierge.
maybe I was a little passive.
How did it make you feel that Riley wanted to come in to Dunwoody on his special day?
I was honored, bro. I was touched. And I got to hang out with Jude,
Yeah.
his little,
He was going crazy.
yeah, dude was popping off.
Michaela gave him a sip of Nitro Oat Lav, and I think that's what did it.
Sugar and caffeine. Yeah.
Yeah, one sip, instantly into blood flow.
Right.
Dude, hey, but tell me about your Father's Day.
Man, my Father's Day was great. I was telling Riley that, I sort of like had this whole conversation
Heart
with
to
Riley.
heart with Riley.
Yeah, we actually both cried. But I was on the way home from a gig.
Whoa.
Classic.
What's a gig? What does that mean?
I
Explain that to the listeners.
I play guitar in a wedding band, and so we were
Playing
playing.
it, Grayson.
We were playing in like near Cashiers Highlands area,
Mm.
North Carolina, and I was listening to the new Luke Combs record, which Luke Combs, Ethan, is a country artist, and he wrote.
Is that like Sabrina Carpenter?
He's
No.
he's like the country Sabrina Carpenter.
Well, so
yeah.
he's a dude,
Okay.
and then also he's country, so he's a little bit different than Sabrina, but they both sing.
Okay. I'm working late.
Like
'cause
you-
I'm a singer. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So anyone out there that's listened to the new Luke Combs record, it's called Fathers and Sons.
Very
And
timely.
I cried on my way home from the gig because of the
By
whole.
yourself?
Yes. Okay. Am I still a man?
You are more of a man
Yeah.
because you've cried.
That's what I thought.
It's funny because we both cried to that album
Separately.
this weekend.
Maybe
separately.
even at the same time.
Oh my!
Were you up at like 1 a.m.?
Yeah, I was driving around at 1 a.m. just by myself.
Yeah.
listening to that.
But I'm like on the way home from this gig. It's Father's Day. Like
Freshly Father's Day?
it is Father's Day. Yeah. Like it was past midnight. And like the whole first song is about how like he's always gone because he's on gigs because he's a musician, and how like when he gets home, and this will be a good segue into our topic
His
today.
dad's disappointed in him.
No, it's actually more about how Luke Combs is the dad in this example, but the first song I think it's called Front Door Famous. And it's like, I'm famous on the road, but nothing beats being front door famous. Like when my kids like, run to me and they're like, "Daddy." And then that happened to
I'm
me.
crying.
That
Okay.
happened to me the next morning, and I just couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it. I was listening to the album and I was like, dude, this is not even enjoyable anymore because I'm just getting sniped by all these songs. And so I just had to turn it off and turn on like Sabrina Carpenter or like
Like Me Espresso.
yeah. Then I just blasted me espresso. And then I was fine. That kind of like numbed me back to like
Got you back.
sedation levels. But anyways, my Father's Day was great. But I thought that was
That was worth mentioning.
worth mentioning the night before the day of Father's Day. I was weeping. And yeah, Father's Day was awesome. Rachel made bacon, egg, and cheese biscuits in the morning. Sheesh, so good.
Are you putting sauce on them or do you just go
Dry as a
is?
bone.
Okay.
Dry as a bone. But the eggs were jammy.
Oh,
So,
nice.
they sort of had like a built-in sauce.
Egg
So
sauce.
cheese, you say?
Yeah.
Cheese is kind of a sauce.
It's a bit of a
in and
it's a bit of a
itself.
sauce. I know you're new to the cheese game. But
Mm.
anyways, yeah, it was awesome. Awesome day.
I would love to hear from Riley. I also had some more things to say about my Father's Day, but I want to hear from you first.
Well, we were talking about you, and then you changed to Ross.
Yeah.
But then while I was saying it, I was like, oh no, I've made a huge mistake.
Didn't tell about the
Right.
the disc golf.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I went and played basketball
Whoa.
outside at Wills Park.
And Wills Park.
Yeah.
That's kind of far.
Well, Rachel wanted to go to Valor.
Oh.
So I was like, I'll just play outside.
While she went to Valor or you went to Valor with her?
I did not go to Valor with her.
Mm. We'll get into that
Savage, dude.
later. Okay.
Well, I woke up. Suddenly, I was awake. And
Interesting start.
we went to Superica for brunch.
Oh, bro, that sounds good.
I didn't even get brunch.
Was it gas?
I got the top of Kenya.
at like 10:30 a.m.
It was like 11:15. Okay,
Yeah,
and it was great.
dude, the top of Kenya it's got to be in my like top 5 meals.
Yeah, and I like their
Ever.
brunch. I was just like, I've got to get the top of Kenya.
Yeah,
today.
it's Father's Day.
What is it?
It's just like fantastic steak, 2 cheese enchiladas, an egg,
Egg.
and rice. And mole? Is there mole?
It's kind of a mole sauce, and they got this like spiced butter on top of the steak. It,
Yeah,
it all
the
kind of
butter.
conjoins together.
Wow.
You just
Whew.
get a little bit of everything in a bite.
Oh
It's
my
good.
gosh,
You'd love it.
It sounds like I would love it.
Hey,
It's really good.
Let's go. Lunch.
We got
we got
$20.
$20.
Yeah. I went there, went to Valor. See, sometimes me and Caleb would normally had gone to Superica Alpharetta and then Valor Alpharetta. I just wanted to go to Dunwoody.
Oh,
I don't get down there enough.
right.
So we did that. And then we went home, put Jude down for a nap. I just like sprawled out on the couch for a couple hours.
Nice.
It was great. And then hung out with my dad. He grilled some burgers.
Let's go.
Smash or steak?
It was more of a steak burger.
Okay.
That checks out.
Yeah.
Very nicely seasoned.
Awesome.
I got a sinus headache
Oh.
because my allergies are terrible right now.
Why?
Took a
In the
nap
summer? What's
for
going
about
on?
an hour. It always happens. Spring bad, they go away, and then around right now something blooms, and it happens to me
I
again.
see.
So sorry, I'm a little nasally, listeners,
We forgive you.
and that pretty much does it.
Hey, I do not. This is not like me throwing anyone under the bus. But is Father's Day like a gift day? Like, do you guys get gifts?
I got a gift.
You got a gift?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
he got a gift.
You got a gift?
We both got our gifts early. Sorry, we've been talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have.
When you went to Japan, we kind of like
we said,
formed a-
look, we can't trust that Ethan's going to be around
Yeah.
anymore. So you need to like make an alliance,
Mhm.
like
We were, like,
Survivor.
deserted
Yep.
puppies.
Yeah, without their mama.
Yeah.
We're just not a gift family. Like I didn't get a gift, and I was like, this is good. I do not want a gift.
Yeah.
Please take me to breakfast so I can eat food. I'm hungry.
But you worked?
Well, we kind of
Your story's
celebrated.
not adding up.
We kind of celebrated on Saturday. She took me out to Spiced Right Barbecue in Roswell. Does breakfast,
Whoa.
and I got a brisket breakfast burrito.
Oh
Was
my
it good?
gosh.
It was wonderful, and it was $9.
Bro,
So
that's a good
it's
to
not
know.
far from here.
Good to know.
And it was super chill, even on a Saturday. So I'm like, dude, weekday breakfast spot? I know I may have just given the kiss of death
Yeah. Yeah.
on air right now,
Especially with how many listeners we have.
especially with how many listeners, specifically in Roswell. But okay, the other thing I wanted to say was, I don't think we've talked about this. My brothers are really into disc golf. And so I played disc golf with my dad, my brother-in-law, Alex, and my brother, Colson. And they're weird about it now.
They're into it?
You've seen people that are like weird into disc golf, where they like have the big bags
Yeah, they got tons of discs.
and they're like, oh, you're going to want to throw this one for this. And you're like, what?
You're telling me there's different discs?
And you've got like 3 discs.
And you're like holding yours. And you're like, yeah.
You like have them kind of like shoved in your
Small,
in your
medium, and
pants,
large?
like, waistband.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's just funny. But we played at Yahula in Dahlonega. There's a river there. So I got to jump in it.
Was that awesome?
It was awesome.
Was it cold?
Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was also like 90 something degrees outside. So it felt really nice.
But that was invigorating.
Yeah. Well, that was it. That's all I wanted to say about that.
I did kind of like an enemy of society move and like got really sweaty playing basketball in like 90-degree weather. And then I got in the pool.
At Will's?
No, at my townhouse.
Oh, dude, I don't think anything about that.
Well, some people like that care about that, you know?
Really? I'm
You
like,
know,
it's a pool.
Well,
Whoa, Riley.
I think maybe where I'm coming from here is like there's certain rules that are posted at pools. Have you ever read them?
Like, don't be sweaty is one of them.
It's like you must shower before entering the pool.
Wow.
I feel like I always say that at the beach, and I always thought it was a sand thing.
Fair enough. It is at my pool,
Mm.
and my pool's nowhere near the beach. So I think that one's kind of debunked.
Are you sure?
I mean, relative to what?
Probably relative to like other places.
It's a
close to the
lot
beach.
closer to the beach than like Kansas.
Heartland.
Love you. Shout out
Love you,
Circle.
man.
Shout out Circle Coffee,
We love you, Circle Coffee.
David.
Hey, that was the first time I think we said coffee on the Valor Coffee podcast today.
Yeah. Well,
What's our minute mark?
8:37 a.m. It's all relative.
What coffee are we drinking today?
Okay. Hey, thanks so much for teaming me up there.
Sorry to be the host.
It's fine.
I brewed up a coffee I brought back from Nihon. Okay. Do we need
Let's
to,
talk about it.
I have to address an elephant.
Why
in
don't
the
you
room.
educate some people here really quick?
Guys, look, last episode I said Nihon, and some people are thinking Ethan's dumb. And yes, that's true. But I was not saying ni hao, which is hello in Mandarin, but I was saying Nihon, which is Japanese for Japan. So, guys, I'm sorry if this week's been hard on you. Because this whole week you've been thinking that
Don't put out an apology for someone else's misunderstanding.
No. I mean I want to be as clear as I can be. So
That you are sorry.
there's gonna be a separet apology video coming out in a couple weeks.
I'm sorry for saying Japan in Japanese.
Look, it was not timely. I wasn't. That was more of a greeting moment. But I was just really excited to say Nihon,
As you have been since you got back.
and as I will continue to do.
Now, these coffees.
Now, the coffee from Nihon. Our friend lives walking distance to this roaster called Chevron, and it was awesome. The dude got some of his coffee chops while living in Australia, and so it was a very Australian-esque cafe in Japan. It was really cool. They had a baby chino on the menu.
How about that?
Baby chino, popular menu item in Australia. Thanks, Blake, for letting us in on that. This just says the Chevron blend, and then there's a bunch of Japanese on the back. So maybe it says what it is, maybe it doesn't. My phone doesn't have the Google lens, but
Your Google phone.
I know Meredith does. We have the same phone, but on the photo, does yours have it on your phone?
Did you try resetting your phone?
I mean, how do you do it? Can't you just go to the Google app?
Oh, I don't know,
Let's see
Riley.
it. You guys keep talking.
It sounded
I'll
like you
figure
didn't
this
try it hard enough.
That's probably very accurate.
What's the other coffee we're drinking?
Dude, maybe this is a really unfortunate because maybe Riley knows how it came into our clutches, but
Oh, this was the one that was like hella nitro flushed.
yeah.
Yeah.
We just came back from the trip and that was on the counter. So, but it looks like it's from Ireland, which is insane.
Calendar coffee.
Ingredients. Product name, Chevron blend. Ingredients, coffee beans.
Here we go.
Colombia, Brazil, Peru. I think it's probably Peru.
Right.
Content volume, 200 grams. Best before date, 3 months from roasting date. Storage method, store away from high temperatures and humidity. Manufacturer, Chevron Coffee Roasters.
Okay.
And then it's their address and then their email address.
This also says best enjoyed within 3 months of the roast date.
Yeah, that's why I chose these coffees. I had to make sure
That's funny.
we were on our timeline. Dude, I don't know if we talked about this on air, but something that's really interesting to me personally is that all the coffees that I got in Japan, really simple packaging, not a lot of like custom flair. But I feel like anytime we've gotten coffee from the UK, it's usually very like creative and unique packaging. Care to comment, guys?
Except for in this case,
Well,
just being
yeah.
a sticker on there.
But it's definitely a sticker that's just for that coffee because it's
Yeah.
blackberries and hibiscus.
And the back is custom.
The back is custom.
So Ross, why don't you just watch yourself a little bit? Have you guys?
Speaking of, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, well, this coffee is a Huila.
Yeah.
Ramon from I'm saying Huilo. I guess Colombia. Come on. Did it even say Colombia on here? Yeah, it does right there. Have you guys tasted this yet? I've only been drinking the other one.
It's delicious.
I tasted it.
And
I liked it.
is it vibrant?
Yeah. Why? I feel like it's a little bit vibrant.
If you had to put like a vibrancy percentage rating on it compared to other coffees,
A vibrancy percentage compared to other coffees.
Is it like 60?
I think it's probably like 60% better. Yeah.
why?
How did you brew it? I don't know. I have to get to the bottom of this.
Well, oh my
This has got me on the edge of my seat right now.
Hey, we used third wave water to brew it up,
No.
bro. Yep.
Sponsor of the program,
Bro,
Third Wave Water.
Bro. I was literally talking to somebody yesterday in the cafe, and I kid you not, Third Wave Water didn't pay me to say this. They were like, this person was
They paid you to say this.
well, they paid me to say this, and but I'm choosing my own words here.
in the
They're
cafe
they're
yesterday. Yeah.
They're showing me this guy showing me all these crazy coffees. He's like, man, I can't get it to taste the same way that you guys make your coffee here. And I was like, well, big part of that's your water, I was like, it's the minerals in the water.
I bet a lot of people are wondering, what piece of coffee gear should I upgrade first at home? And, like my answer has classically been grinder, like
Okay.
improve grind quality. But what if it was maybe one of the cheapest things you could do and just change nothing about your setup except for your water?
Mm.
Get Third Wave Water
Wow.
using code Valor for 10% off.
Yeah. If you're using poo-poo water, I'm positive that like if you had really poor mineral content, it would be just as detrimental as poor grind consistency.
Coffee is one of those things too. We've talked about this, especially in the luxury world. And I feel like a newer thing is people love buying expensive coffees, and you got to make that stuff at home. So I'm like, if you're gonna buy a $100, 100-gram thing, like I did,
What?
I've done it a couple times. You want to make sure you're brewing it up with excellence.
No doubt.
Third Wave Water.
Yeah.
Brew with excellence.
60% better.
Brew with 60% more excellence.
Well, we've been talking a lot about being dads, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
So, what's it like?
Right. That's such a good question.
Yeah. Well, we entered this business in a similar stage of life back in 2016, in that we were basically just out of high school,
Like engaged to be married.
engaged because
Betrothed.
we're weird. We got engaged really young, separately, and
Parents did arrange it for all of us.
yeah,
No.
which just made it easier. Not really. We all sort of knew our respective wives for a long time.
Are we all in the high school sweetheart camp? Or did you miss it?
I wasn't high school.
But you knew Michaela for a long time,
Yes.
since middle school.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew Rachel since first grade. You knew Meredith since middle school. So that's our excuse for getting married so young, and it's been great. All right,
No problem.
it's been great, right, guys?
Yes.
Like no bumps yet, no bumps in the road.
We've never fought.
No.
Yeah, smash like if you've never had a marital issue. No likes on this video. We all sort of entered into Valor in a similar season of life. We were trying to move out of our parents' houses, right? We were all sort of in that zone. I remember going over to both of your parents' houses all the time and like talking about Valor stuff, working on freaking flow jets and like cart stuff even before we
Like
had a cart.
business plans on like some scratch paper.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Great times. Those are amazing times. And then I think in the very beginning, like we had 1 or 2 or 3 meetings like with our wives to be, because it's like this is gonna be like an us thing, like we're gonna be family business, Like what do you think Valor would have been like if we just like kept going down that road? I think we probably would have been broker. Not because they were involved, because we had 6 people involved.
That was my first thought. It's almost like um, the constant warning we give is don't start a business with too many people.
Yep.
And so if we had done that with 6 people, that sounds tough. Sounds tough to get alignment with something so raw.
Valor would probably be farther along if the girls just would have took it and ran with it, than us.
Hey, that could be an alternate part of the multiverse,
I think
We should make a multiverse like film about that.
yeah.
It's never been done.
Lyndon, jot that down.
Thanks, Lyndon. Your Instagram story was hilarious. If you listening to the podcast, here's another shout out. Shout out, Lyndon.
Yeah, if you post this one, you'll get another shout out next week.
Employee culture. I know one of the main things that like fed my desire early on to start a business was because I really felt so out of place going to college. And I was like, why am I here? And I was like, I really like coffee. I'll just start a coffee company and that'll be my career. Simple as that.
At what point did you buy your fancy aprons?
Probably like June of
2016?
yeah.
I always
Maybe like what's the month before June? May. Yeah.
There's a picture of you guys wearing your fancy like barista aprons behind an espresso machine,
Oh yeah.
and it's in orientation, and every time I say, yeah, these guys, they spent their first paycheck on these fancy aprons.
You just pull that one out of your butt.
But
Does it get a laugh out of people?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
maybe.
going to have to now stop saying it because now it is considered a lie because I'm no longer innocent. I have the truth.
We should just get this one in orientation.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I only have my bar apron.
That's embarrassing.
Your half apron. Yeah. And so we were all trying to make this our career because we were all moving out, trying to get married. What do you guys remember about having a very new marriage with also starting a business that demanded like all of your time? It's kind of a blur for me, honestly.
I mean, this might get into some of what we talk about later, but it was definitely hard. And I definitely think there was a lot of sacrifice. And that's what we will probably talk about a good bit, is just like seasons and sacrifice for the future. In retrospect, I'm like, I was without a kid, I had so much free time.
Like you still had so much free time? Yeah.
Yes. So it's probably like I got to come home and give Michaela my undivided attention for the entire time I was home. Maybe. I mean, I was probably like, came home, like played video games or like worked for Valor on my computer or something some of the times. But
Yeah, I kind of works like all the time. So
Yeah.
that's cool to know.
yeah, totally. There were a lot of moments and conversations of like, this is this way because I own a business and I'm trying to start a business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys have a conversation with your either soon to be or current wife where it was like, I'm asking if you remember the conversation of like, I'm doing Valor as my career. Like, this is my choice. Or do you think just because you're so young and the relationship was literally just about loving one another, it was like, we're going to figure out the work stuff later, you know? It's not like you having a plan for work was a part of like the non-negotiables for getting married.
I remember feeling very clearly that me having, or this was at least in my mind. I don't know if this was in her mind or whatever, but I just remember asking Rachel's parents if I could marry her. And one of the things that like we talked about was like, I'm starting this business and like, this is how this is going to be my career. Like, I think this is going to work. And not even that, like Rachel's parents were very gracious and they weren't like, how are you going to provide for Rachel? Or like, you know, you lazy bum, you dropped out of college. It wasn't even like that. So I think in my mind, it was, that's just what like kept me motivated, was like, this is what I'm going to do. And this is
Mhm.
going to work. And I think, like, similar to what you're saying, Riley, that whenever we were having a moment of tension, not that there's ever been a problem in my marriage, like I said earlier, but you know, when you're having a moment like that, it's like, well, this is that way because Valor, this is a grind season for Valor. So yeah, I would say we talked about it.
What about you, Bubba?
What?
Do you remember having that kind of conversation? Like, I'm going to start a business with my two best friends in the whole world.
Yeah, I think there's just times where it'd be like the three of us would come to some revelation, and then I would just like go home and talk to Michaela about it. So the revelation was probably like, oh, like we just have to sacrifice for an amount of time, which is turning out to be however many years in some capacity or another. And then I would go home and be like, hey, I've just got to sacrifice for some amount of time. And then someday I'll be making like $900,000 a year.
Crazy money.
Yeah. I just remember being hit with the reality at that age of like, this is how the world works. Like, you're not going to be handed anything. You're not going to, not that like I was handed a bunch of stuff as a kid. Like, I feel like my parents did a good job of that. But like when you go out on your own and you're starting a business, like if you don't do things to move yourself and your family forward, it's like you just won't move forward.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you're on your own. And I remember thinking like how much I'm working right now is a consequence of the decisions I've made up until this point to like drop out of college. But I don't even know if that's true. Like, I guess like the preconceived sort of thought there is like, if I would have went to college, I would not be working as much. But I don't even know if that's true.
It just depends on the industry you get into.
Yeah.
Or the company you end up working for. Such a good answer.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, that's good. It's probably true though. But I wanted to like sacrifice, or I wanted to trade autonomy and freedom for time, basically. Like I wanted to have my own business, and that gave me more freedom, not to like do whatever I wanted with all this time that I had, but like freedom in the business, I guess, you know, instead of working for someone else.
Yeah, and then you also have business partners, which changes that a little bit as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will say I think the bigger shift came when the kids came to town than being married. At least when we were starting Valor, my wife was still in school and working, so it was like that was just the season we were in. Was everybody's busting their buns to provide, you know. And I mean, if we think about all of our different funny living situations, just to make it work, you know, like we had a roommate, you know, and so it's like lower overhead, so at least the bottom line to pay all the bills was a little lower, so that we could give more time to Valor. But honestly, as much as we spent like game planning Valor, there wasn't like a ton in the beginning, right? It was just like, and I'm sure a lot of people feel that when they start their business, if they do like events based, it's like, yeah, I have my own business. I got like an event next month and trying to close one out for about 2 months from now, you know?
Yeah.
But we would just spend a lot of our time in like quote unquote development.
Yeah.
Which, yes, it did mean laser tag. Okay. But laser tag really helps the brain
Morale.
Yeah. The morale boost.
I, in this entire conversation, totally forgot that Michaela was also in school and also working like a retail job at Madewell for a part of the time. So it'd be like some of the times she would just her shift a lot of times there was like 7 p.m. to 1 a.m., like flipping sets or whatever.
Yeah.
And I would just come home and like work on my computer, like throw on some Dragon Ball Z and like.
You also went through like a coding boot camp.
Yeah, true. I think a part of that was, one, to learn for Valor. A second part of that was to appease my worried mother. Sorry, Mom, that I was dropping out of school and starting my own business.
You never told me that.
Which is kind of
I've
funny.
never heard this angle.
Yeah. It's like, I'm doing this, so I can do this and fall back on this.
Wow.
Because, I totally understand if Jude started a business at 19, I would be a little bit weary about him sticking to it as well.
Yeah.
I think that we're just the anomaly in that we did.
But you got the best of both worlds because now you code at your business.
That's right. Well, and ChatGPT does it.
Yeah, and now ChatGPT exists.
I just have a little bit of an understanding.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm sorry. There's just like someone is just like hammering the wall outside.
Yeah.
Things really changed when you had a kid.
That's right. I had a kid.
I remember saying after I heard, "Do you think you're gonna quit Valor?"
Yeah, I think I remember that conversation.
Yeah. And you were like, "No, I'm just gonna work even harder."
Is that what I said?
Yeah.
That's kind of true.
I remember when you told me we were standing behind the cart.
Oh, I definitely remember.
And I just like, did I fall on the ground?
I think it was something dramatic. Yeah, sounds.
I was like, oh my gosh.
Because we were not trying to have a kid at all. Like we always wanted to be parents, but not. I think we were 22, 23.
Whoa.
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
We
So
just need to have a Story of Valor podcast soon.
story about yeah. I mean, that was a huge shock for us, learning that we were pregnant, and I still very much felt that we were in the like grind season with Valor. So I just remember feeling so many emotions of like, what's this going to look like? How's it going to work? And then you just sort of you feel all of that like severity, but at the same time, I always fell back on like people have been having kids for a long time. Like it's been working for a long time. I know that like there's so many situations where people have kids and it puts them in a way harder spot, obviously, especially single mothers, stuff like that. But for us, it was, Rachel was also working and, losing that. So we had our firstborn in December of 2019. And then my wife went on her maternity leave from cutting hair. And then
which means $0.00 for maternity leave.
And then COVID happened. Shelter in place. And then her salon closed like for a long time. And then shelter in place stopped and the restrictions like started coming off. And then she went back to work for like a very short amount of time. I think it was like definitely less than a year, maybe less than 6 months. And then she was like, I'm done with this. Like, so then she's been a stay-at-home mom ever since. But yeah, all those decisions of like, how do you structure your money? How do you structure your time? It's all just us trying our best out here. And it's like, it's been, do you guys remember when I had a kid and you guys didn't have kids? Was there like a different dynamic between the three of us at that time? Like, because we were just like three, young guns with wives that were also like, the wives were also pretty busy and doing stuff and like working and going to school for you guys. And then bringing a kid into the mix. Like, how do you remember that changing the dynamic?
I mean, there's just obviously some level of ignorance to your situation. I would say that that's the kind of the crux of it. And then beyond that, kind of us having to be more tailored to your schedule was a part of it. You know, you're like, I've got to drop Giselle off at school. I can't do the podcast on Tuesdays anymore.
Yeah.
Or
Just as a hypothetical
yeah,
example.
yeah. Or something of the sorts.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Was that frustrating for you guys? Or did you just like, were you immediately just like, oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, I
totally
don't think I was completely full of grace and understanding, if that's what you're asking.
That's what I'm asking. Like, how
Yeah.
was that?
I mean, I was probably frustrated, but like, what can I do?
yeah.
And
Yeah,
what
more-
can he do?
And what can Giselle do? Can she just take herself to school?
I don't think
She's
so.
not really pulling her weight in the whole situation.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree. It's just like maybe just general logistical frustration, or like owner stuff is hitting the fan and it's like, all right, we need to all do this. And you're like, I can't. And it's just like, okay, we will. But now, because we all have kids, it's like, I think there is just a lot more like, well, this person's kid is sick, so they have to go home. And everybody's just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But I think that would have been a lot harder. And probably that did happen, I'm sure, in moments where you're like, hey, I got to go. And then we're like, what? The work. So, but it's real, man. I mean, it's such an odd tension of like, you want to be this provider for your family. So it's like, man, I want to work so hard for them. But I mean, I think we can all relate, especially with you having two. You just really want to be home too. And you want to like be a present father and husband in the moment. But that takes you away from, sometimes there's a balance to the providing, you know? So
Hey,
it's,
and front door famous.
right. You have to keep
All
your,
kinds back to
your
Luke,
front door
Luke Combs.
fame.
Yeah.
And I think that really hit me hard because my leadership style has always been like, be on the front lines, be there for anybody at any time,
Go to every event.
go to everything, stay first one in, last one out kind of thing. And I can't do that anymore. I can't go to everything. My son goes to bed at a certain time and we leave and we just don't go to things as much, or like I can't go help someone out in a pinch. But weighing those times when you just still can. But yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Do you remember a specific moment? I'm sure you don't, because neither of us ever remember specific moments about things. But what that transition season was like when you went from like, you know, first guy there, last guy out at everything, supporting people, covering all the shifts, to like kind of hit with a reality check of like, I've got a kid now, and how does that change things?
Right. Yeah. Oh man. Well, there's two things. One thing just abstract is this awesome guy, Sean Dean. I don't know if you, Ibby's dad,
Oh yeah,
Sean Dean.
he is awesome.
I was talking to him about fatherhood, and he was like, look, whether you like it or not, you're going to have probably the biggest impact on your kids' lives. You're going to have a positive impact, you're going to have a negative impact, or an absent impact, which is a negative impact. So you have to decide every day what kind of impact you want to have on your kid.
Yeah.
I basically thought about that every day since he told me that like a year and some change ago. But yeah, every decision is like, how is this going to impact my family? You know? And so that's just like a new decision lens that kind of like comes over your face when you're making decisions at work. But a big shift was when I became a dad. I feel like I tried to kind of line up with more of our schedule, like the Monday to Friday thing. And I was kind of always like the weekend warrior, the boss on the weekends, working with the team. And now I'm not. I'm like hanging out with my family. And I think I had a lot of embarrassment and like shame, honestly, of not being that. And I mean, we like promoted and like tried to install leaders who were those people. But I know we've gotten into that before on the program, but like that's a hard transition to be like, hey, I'm the owner, but we're paying this person now to be your boss, to be that person for you. And a lot of times the people could be like, hey, that's great, but we want the owner. We want the person that we're working for. That's hard, man. That is really hard. So I feel like I just like avoided Valor on the weekends. I would just like try to like not go anywhere. Just be like,
Yeah.
I was like, I just don't want to be seen because I just like don't want to seem like I'm just like
Resting.
like not working.
We were talking about the three of us and some of our friends going to the beach soon and visiting a wholesale partner,
Right.
also working.
Still working.
And you were like, I don't know if I can leave.
It's a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's hard. I want to be always there on the front lines in those moments, but
And I said, dude, everyone sees how much you do all the time. They're going to be like, Ethan deserves this vacation. Ross and Riley, maybe
They're
not
bad.
so much.
they're bad, guys.
But Ethan,
I'm
yes.
still in the good guy.
What this is like relevant literally to our personal lives, and also I think it's a relatable topic for our listeners. What do you think about as the owner, as the boss, sort of like playing the trump card of like,
Whoa.
sorry, I know the election's
soon.
coming up. Playing that trump card of
You said T card?
playing the T card of like I'm putting in my request off before all of you employees.
Mm.
You know, like I feel like that I've thought about that in the past where does the boss get to do that? Or is the boss treated differently because they're the boss? Do they get to place time off requests before everyone else in it stand as the owner of a business?
There's so many good questions and so many different trails to follow of logic of like what will happen, you know? But it's like I technically at any point anybody can put in a time off request.
Yeah.
I can request off for the day after Christmas right now, you know, as it stands. It's not like there's like a open window.
Yeah.
Like first come, first serve, everybody go. It's not like a shoe release, you know. We're not,
Yeah.
It's
We're
not like a
not-
Jordan drop.
we're not dropping Jordans, all right? It's just a schedule for crying out loud. So it's like at that end, it's like, yeah, I guess if I know about this trip, I'm like, man, I should probably like go ahead and put that in because it would be kind of nasty if I didn't and say a few people already did. And I'm like, well, I'm going, so sorry.
Yeah.
But we just really pride ourselves on schedule flexibility when we're like building it and really trying to make it happen. We really rarely have to say like no to people. And it's a lot easier to say no to a schedule request when you're already like, hey, I'm already working. You were the last person. I'm sorry. But to be like, I'm going out of town. You have to stay. But it's like, I don't know. I don't know if that's how it works.
I think that mentality comes from thinking that work is more valuable than rest, though, right? Like if you're saying that the excuse of or the reason of I'm already working, trust me, I get it. You know, I'm already working, but you have to work because there's no other option. That's one example. The other example is like I'm going out of town and that's why you have to work. Like, why does that feel worse than the first one?
Because people don't want to work on the holidays, typically.
So you're saying it's more of a holiday thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have kind of combated this a little bit by paying time and a half on holidays,
That
which
is
does
true.
help.
Yeah.
That is true.
And then on some holidays, paying double time.
Hey, shout out Christmas Eve. We see you.
Yeah. But
And
and we just be clear, we would close, but it's like we're doing it more than anything for our guests because people love
I know,
going
it's-
to the coffee shop on Monday holidays.
Yeah, and that's what's hard is it's like there's just an inverse effect. So it's like I like the idea of going out of town on really random like February or November. What's that? I don't know.
Nothing.
There's nothing.
Not
It's a
like
nothing
Thanksgiving
month.
or
It's
anything.
not like my kid's birthday or my wedding anniversary. So it is. It's just like this is a big step for me. If I do it, So, because it is true, we're just busy. Like it's August is already busy, and then like that's just a busy time of year. So it's like
Like with people requesting off. Is that what you mean?
and just
and volume.
retail. I think May, August, and December are usually like our big three, right? Right, Riley.
Yeah.
Numbers guy.
And September is one of the low three.
Right.
Fortunately. Maybe not a Labor Day, but after Labor Day.
We're just trying to get you on this beach trip, man. That's all.
Hey, I hear you, man. Yeah, and then but it's like if I'm not there and you follow the line, it's like, okay, maybe I tell someone they have to work. Worst case scenario, they're like, I'm not gonna work. And they're like, all right, then I guess you don't work at Valor anymore. Awkward. And it's like, well, I guess I'll still go on the trip and then we'll just close early. It's always the worst case scenario is like close the cafe 2 hours early.
And we already close early on Labor Day. Or like our hours are limited. Sorry. We don't close early.
Right.
So you have to come.
Yeah. All right, I'll go. We'll see what happens.
Do you guys, this is sort of calling it back to the early days. Do you remember what it meant to you to have the support of your wife early on in starting a business?
Yes.
Like what did that look like? Was it just like, yeah? What did it look
I
like?
mean, the support of my wife in starting a business, especially because I feel like I've always lived the farthest away from everyone, is like a lot of times I get home late and Michaela is making dinner, like almost all of the time, or we would just wouldn't have dinner, or I'd have to like pick it up on the way home, or else we'd be eating at like 8 p.m. or something.
Yeah.
Which is a huge sacrifice, and it's kind of just always been that way.
Yeah.
The time I cooked the most in our marriage was whenever we lived in Alpharetta, when I lived the closest.
That's when you kind of got into it too.
Yeah. Because I had a lot more
Sourdough.
time. Yeah.
Sourdough.
But
That was also COVID.
yeah.
So you did sourdough.
No, I was doing
obviously.
it before. Let's be clear. I
Okay.
started in November of 2019. But I mean, that's all kind of just my own fault for living far away. But with that being said, it's like if I wasn't working for Valor, I'd probably have like a remote job, and that would be a different story.
Yeah.
You're gonna catch you on Upwork.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, it's just there's no way to not understate it. The amount of support I got from my wife during that season, because it's just go, and there was complete understanding, complete grace, and just support, and like just really for me and for us and for Valor, and always understanding if I need to go do something for Valor. It was. Yeah, I think we all know the hardship of like friction in that, of like you're doing one thing to help one system, and then another system is aggravated that you're doing it. It's like you're getting pulled apart. That's like terrible.
Yeah.
But to have the thumbs up, the emotional thumbs up of your wife to be like, yeah, this is your business.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa. It's honestly kind of rare.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
There's been so many times where Michaela's been the voice of reason when I'm like, I don't think this business is gonna like make it.
I'm going to close.
like, or like, I don't want to do this anymore. I've said that before.
Dude, when have you said
I
that
remember
before?
when I don't know if we're thinking about it at the same time, but I feel like there was a while. Was it like when it was like before we had this place?
I mean, probably. There's probably been times when we've had this place where I've also been like, I don't want to do this.
I don't know. I'm thinking of a time where you just said something like that enough times where I was like, okay, I think he actually means this.
I probably did. And that's just all a product of being overworked and underpaid. I mean, people in all sorts of jobs, entrepreneur or not, have felt that way.
Yeah.
And I felt like that, and I would tell her that, or I would be like, first of all, I would tell her that, and she'd be like, "If you don't want to do it anymore, then don't do it anymore." And that alone shows a lot of support that she wouldn't have thought that I was like a quitter, even though I would be.
Whoa.
Uh, and then there were other times where I just like was like, I don't think this Valor thing's gonna work out, and she was like, "Yes, it is. Shut up. It's gonna be fine."
Yeah.
Like you've got enough people and support around you that you're always gonna be able to make it work if you want to. TBD on that, but yeah.
Dude, we got Lyndon. It'll all work out.
I think the thing that meant the most to me along those lines was how much Rachel supported me with like seemingly incomplete information. Like she didn't support me because she knew, like she looked at our books and did like a break-even analysis on our cafes versus e-commerce versus wholesale program. And she was like, yeah, I think this business will be viable. You know, like, cause Lord knows like we weren't doing that. So like she definitely wasn't doing that. But like just the fact that she supported me because once like she was confident in God that like God was going to make a way for this to work because we like felt that God was calling us to this, but also just that like she believed in me, which is like kind of all I needed to keep going no matter what, you know? And then like what you were saying earlier about like one of the worst feelings of my life is like being pulled towards work and being pulled towards family. And then like the worst is when they're both mad at you. But you're only trying to help both of them and you're only doing the other for the other. And it's like sometimes you have to sacrifice family for work, but really that's only for family actually, because it's like all for family. And it's like, you know, I'm not like complaining about it. It's just how the world works. But like that it feels like literally it's ripping me apart because it's like I'm being pulled in two directions.
Yeah, there's also something interesting about the social nature, especially in the cafe, but like there's that it's a really fun but crazy blend of like your family will come hang out with you and you're like working, but you're like kind of not for a little bit. And then you're like working longer. And so your life can kind of start to blend of like, and maybe you're working from home, like, oh, I just got stuff to do, but you're with your family. And so it really takes on a weird shape of like, this isn't just a classic 8 hours. I clock in at the office and I'm done. But it's like, I'm working with my family. I'm getting calls at night and talking to people with my family. And then my family will come visit me at work, which is awesome. But then it's like, I'm just hanging out with them. It's like this one amalgamation.
Yeah.
And that's also, we didn't talk about like how that can even be perceived from like having employees of like, this guy's family can come. Does that mean my family can come hang out?
Right.
It's like, it's crazy. It's like, because you have a family that wants to see you and you know, like, oh, yeah, okay, if my family's here, I'm still going to get done everything I have to do. I'm not going to work the classic 8 hours, you know, but I'm going to like flex and be nimble and have to just like work around this. Kind of wild.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess the thesis of this is like, don't have a family, right?
Or don't have a business.
It'd be like a spy, like a Jedi, like no connections. You can just focus on work.
Yeah, trust no one.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's worth it, man. It's worth the getting pulled around sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember like before I had kids, I would hear men or women, like basically moms or dads, talk about how hard it is to like have a family. And I would kind of think to myself, like, you sound like you kind of hate your life a little bit. So like, that's not how we're trying to sound at all. Because
I wouldn't have it any other way.
oh God, yeah. I mean, it's so worth it. Like the classic saying of like, kids are hard. They'll bring you to your last bit of energy and last straw stress, whatever. Like that is true, and it's like way more worth it than it is hard.
Yeah, it's like a new level of working unto your family,
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't get there, but making the most of your time, It's not just like I'm going to be here all day, but it's like I really want to get home to my family. How can I work as smart and efficient as possible to like do my stuff
Yeah.
so I can like go see them.
I think about that all the time if I'm goofing off at work
Yeah.
or like not working efficiently or like getting distracted by my phone. I'm like, every one of those seconds is taking away from the money I could generate to better my family. That's crazy.
Yeah, no shade to our celebrations, but we did a little like employee celebration last week, and it wasn't like that was a part of my 8 hours. I just ended up working until like 6 that night.
Yeah, same.
And so then I'm gone 11 hours from my family, and I was like, well, I really just did work like 8 hours today. It's just I did 3 hours of goofing off.
Yeah.
And
At Dave and Buster's.
I wasn't going to say that, but yes, we're at Dave and Buster's, all right? And maybe that's a potential wholesale account. We're not sure how that's all going to like flesh out.
Podcast is all about transparency.
But yeah, it is worth it, bro.
Well, comment below if you res. People say res.
Do they?
I don't know. Do they?
For Resonate?
Yeah.
Yeah, they say res for sure.
If you res with this.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Yeah, we're going to wrap it here.
We're going to hang up.
All right. We'll see y'all next week for
another podcast
about a topic.
We need to get a guest on, dude.
Grayson, we love you.
Grayson, we think about you every day, bro.
All right, bye.